Vice President Harris holding a call with her campaign's top donors this afternoon as she faced questions about how the campaign was able to plow through $1 billion and still came up short. Also faces questions about what she might do next, right? Lindy Li joins us now, senior advisor to the DNC, who served on the Harris National Finance Committee.
Yes, she actually held two calls, one for her top donors and one for grassroots. I was speaking and texting with fellow attendees of the call, and we were amazed by how self-congratulatory the tone was. I don't recall, the call was about 20, 30 minutes. I don't recall anyone taking responsibility for the fact that we spent about $2 billion across Super PAC and the campaign and came up so significantly short. We lost 7 swing states.
Self-congratulatory, in what types of things were being said?
They praised Harris as a visionary leader. I believe at one moment during the call, she was talking about her Thanksgiving recipe. And I don't say this with any malice or anything. I'm just merely conveying what happened. I think I was stunned to hear that, given just the extent and brutality of the loss and the fact that DNC staffers, at least two-thirds have been fired summarily. A lot of them are at a loss as to what to do. I'm just frankly stunned that there was no sort of postmortem or an analysis of how we can do better, what sort of lessons were learned. It was really just patting each other on the back, congratulating each other on I'm not sure what, saying we'll see you for Christmas.
Wow. So, but anything about what she wants to do next? Is that the point of having calls like this, that she wants donors to stay on her side? You know, we talked earlier about whether she'd run again in 28 or whether she would maybe run for governor.
To put it bluntly, they are not pleased at the prospect. I think this is definitely her attempt to stay close to her donors, but it's also the DNC's way of staying close with the donors. And their attempt at donor management. I hope you give me credit for being very honest about this, because this is very raw and very real for me. And yeah, a lot of donors are not happy. A number of them are blaming people in Obama world. That's who they helicoptered in after Biden stepped down. A lot of consultants in Obama world came over and took over the campaign apparatus. The same people who were whispering and leaking to the press that Harris should be replaced at the top of the ticket when Biden was running. So you can imagine just the hypocrisy underlying a lot of it.
You know, there was this podcast where some of them talked, I don't know if it was similar, for the first time, about what went wrong and the reflections on it. Jen O'Malley Dillon, who ran the campaign, and others, same people, right? Here's a clip from Jen O'Malley Dillon on what you talked about at the beginning, how they run through all this money, which has become something you and others have been saying, well, hey, what's going on here?
Of course, you know, you can look at, did we get the best deal here? This was quite costly here. It's quite expensive. At the end of the day, though, I think if you look at the spend we had, the majority of the money we spent, it was to reach voters. We are going to be in a good space across the board, across all of our entities, without debt that carries forward.
In my view, it's extremely detached from reality. And of course, they failed to mention that hundreds of millions of dollars went to them and their friends, right, through these consulting firms. These consultants were the primary beneficiaries of the Harris campaign, not the American people, not the donors, not anybody else. It was the people who, you know, go from one campaign to the next, looking for their next plum gig. And this is extremely honest, but it's true. They fail upwards and they don't learn any lessons, and they can just keep going because there's no accountability.
So what's next? I mean, are you done with this in terms of, like, are you done doing, raising money for Democrats, giving money to Democrats? I know you've been very outspoken, and are other people feeling the same way that in the donor community that, gives money to the Democrats?
I don't know a single person who doesn't feel the same way. That's the extent of the frustration.